Okay. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who has taken the time to join us today for our virtual community meeting. My name is Lily Gazu, and I'm from the Department of Planning and Development, Zoning Administration Division. With me today are Bill Mayland and Casey Judge from the same department. During this meeting, I will give a brief presentation on the proposed zoning ordinance amendment regarding outdoor dining regulations. Afterwards, we will move on to a question and answer session. If you would like to provide feedback or comments in writing, please feel free to email me directly. You can find my contact information on the outdoor dining website. You will find the link to the website in the chat. I will also put it in the chat at the end of the presentation for those of you who joined a little bit late. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and a copy of the recording will be available on the website in a day or two. To ensure a smoother experience, please mute your mics to avoid background noise. And then we will now begin the presentation. To give you a brief background, this topic was added to the zoning ordinance work program in response to the Board of Supervisors' direction to staff to consider ways to allow the continuation of outdoor dining and other activities permitted in parking areas during the COVID emergency. The current zoning ordinance provisions do not define outdoor dining. However, outdoor seating is generally treated as accessory use and is allowed by right in all districts where restaurants and craft beer production establishments are permitted. Additional parking is not required for outdoor seating when the number of outdoor seats does not exceed 20 for an establishment with a gross floor area of less than 5,000 square feet, and when the number of outdoor seats does not exceed 32 for an establishment with a gross floor area of 5,000 square feet or more. Providing outdoor seating above these numbers requires the submission and approval of a parking tabulation to demonstrate that the number of existing parking spaces on site meets the minimum off-street parking requirement for all uses, including any outdoor seating. The emergency ordinance allowed the setup of outdoor dining subject to certain conditions without any requirement for individualized approvals. It applied to any existing food-related establishment with a non-residential use permit or a certificate of occupancy and a food establishment permit. The board declared the end of the COVID-19 emergency effective March 1st, 2023. The 1-year grace period will end on March 1st, 2024, and most programs will sunset by then, except for outdoor dining, which would be codified with this amendment if it is approved. Staff proposes to continue with the approach set forth in the emergency ordinance. The proposed standards incorporate the standards contained in the emergency ordinance addressing ADA, alcohol, furniture, life safety, location, parking, pedestrian circulation, and signs. In addition, staff proposes to define and add outdoor dining to the definition section of the zoning ordinance as a permitted accessory use to a restaurant, carry-out restaurant, restaurant with drive-through, craft beverage production establishments, or other similar uses that have a food establishment permit. Outdoor dining may not include permanent structures, and all tables, chairs, umbrellas, tents, lighting, and other accessories all must be removable and maintained in good visual appearance and condition. The use is proposed to be permitted in all zoning districts unless expressly prohibited by any applicable proffer or development conditions. Any area used for outdoor dining must be clearly demarcated by a rope, bollard, planters, or other means. Additionally, all outdoor dining areas must be located entirely on impervious surfaces and may not obstruct any fire equipment, building entrance or exit, or any other area marked for designated for emergency egress. ADA accessibility or pedestrian passageway on any trail or sidewalk without providing alternative pedestrian passage. Consistent with the Parking Reimagined Zoning Ordinance Amendment, staff proposes no additional parking be required for outdoor dining, regardless of its size or location. We also propose to continue allowing outdoor dining on private property by right, provided that any single establishment may not exceed 50% of the indoor dining area, floor area of the establishments. In addition, the total area devoted to outdoor dining serving multiple establishments may not exceed 50% of the total combined indoor dining floor area for all establishments. An option for consideration is provided in the draft text that could limit the outdoor dining area to a range from 25% to 75% of the indoor dining area. To mitigate potential noise issues related to activities in outdoor dining areas, staff proposes that the hours of operation generally conform to the business hours of the principal use, but in no event occur before 7 a.m. or after 10 p.m. when located directly adjacent to a single-family development or as otherwise approved by the board in conjunction with a rezoning or other action before the board. An option for consideration is provided in the draft text that requires no outdoor dining located adjacent to single-family development may operate before 9 a.m. As previously mentioned, staff proposes all outdoor dining located on impervious areas, such as existing patios or sidewalks of a private property, continue to be permitted by right. However, staff proposes any outdoor dining located in parking areas to be permitted only with the issuance of an administrative permit by the zoning administrator. Staff also proposes a one-time application fee of $205, which is the same as the current fee for other temporary uses. An option is provided to consider a lower range between $100 and $205 for the outdoor dining administrative permit fee. The size of outdoor dining and parking areas would still be subject to the proposed maximum size of 50% of the indoor dining area. If an establishment provides outdoor dining on both the sidewalk and the parking area, the cumulative size cannot exceed 50% of the indoor dining area of the establishment. As required in the emergency ordinance, sufficient on-site parking must be maintained for on-site users, and any outdoor dining located in a parking area may not reduce the total number of parking spaces below the minimum required for the site. Since the adoption of the emergency ordinance, relatively few complaints have been received regarding outdoor operations, and staff believes this simplified approach will allow continuation of the outdoor dining experience for both customers and establishments. Following your feedback today, staff will further refine the proposed regulations, and we anticipate potential authorization before the board towards the end of the year and public hearing before the Planning Commission and the board early next year. With that, I conclude my presentation, and I am available to answer any questions you may have. My email address and telephone number is available on the screen, but as I mentioned earlier, it is also available on the website, and I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat again the link to the website. So with that, I will open it to question and answers.
Lily, it looks like we have a question in the chat about what about musical groups or amplified music?
So any amplified music or noise from the outdoor dining would still be subject to the noise ordinance. That would be applicable to any type of noise that may be created in the outdoor dining area. We did add the restriction in the hours of operation for properties for outdoor dining setup that is directly adjacent to single-family residences. But in general, any noise or any music that may be played in the outdoor dining area would be subject to the current noise ordinance that's effective. Do you require the owner to sanction the use or just the tenant? We're developing the administrative permit for the outdoor dining area in the parking, set up in the parking areas, but the one that is by right is not going to require any type of a permit. It is by right. It would be set up, of course, with the owner or the tenant would have to work with the owner on their indoor and outdoor setup, but we will not be requiring a permit for it, so there will not be an opportunity to get an owner approval. For the permit, the administrative permit, we typically require owner approval for our existing administrative permits. So I anticipate that we will probably have a section where they would need to get approval from the owner. These are good questions that we will definitely look into as we finalize the text, the draft text that is currently available will be updated to reflect the comments we're getting as necessary. Can you clarify the parking requirements? You mentioned that establishments that did not have to worry if they reduce their parking below the minimum, but then they say they have to maintain the minimum going forward. Is that correct? So the proposal currently is not to require additional parking for the outdoor dining setup, whether it's located on the sidewalk or patio, or whether it's located in the parking area. However, when outdoor dining is proposed to be located in the parking area, then it's required to demonstrate that the minimum required parking for the development itself is met, that the number of parking spaces is not reduced beyond the minimum required. Now, I had mentioned that it consistent with the parking reimagined, that no additional parking would be required for any outdoor dining setup. If the parking reimagined zoning ordinance amendment is approved and the number of parking spaces required for the development is reduced, that could potentially provide additional parking that could be used for outdoor dining. But the minimum required for any development would still have to be met. It's just that the outdoor dining itself does not need to be parked. Is that clear? So I'm just reading out the chat. So the addition of outdoor dining space does not require new parking spaces. That is correct. But if they take up parking space, then they must maintain the minimum required for the establishment. That is correct, yes. Another question is, are there any approved design standards by staff or planning commission, or is it all up to the tenant as to what furniture, umbrellas, lighting, etc. is used? So because we are proposing that outdoor dining, especially those on the sidewalk or patio, be permitted by right, there is not going to be any permit requirements or review by staff. The furniture that is proposed on any outdoor dining would need to be in good condition, but we're not dictating the design. It also has to be removable. It cannot be any permanent structure or furniture within the outdoor dining area, but there are no design standards proposed by staff. Any tents or lighting. For example, tents would still need to meet the fire department requirements as far as the size and duration of the tent. If there's any lighting required, it would still be subject to the zoning ordinance requirements as far as exterior lighting, but all of those would have to be met. If any of the zoning ordinance requirements or any other code, including the fire code and building code, is not met, then that would be a violation, and it would be a compliance issue where we will go and make sure that they meet these standards and codes. But because it's going to be by right, there will not be a review before they set up for compliance with either the zoning ordinance or the other codes, fire code and building code. I see more questions are being typed up, but if you do have any questions, you feel free to unmute yourself and speak as well. While we are waiting for additional comments in the chat or for anyone to speak up, I'm going to provide the link to the outdoor dining website one more time for those who joined a little bit late and are not able to access the previous chats. So there is one more question. If by right with no approval, how do you verify that the increase in seating occupant load will meet with building code for toilet fixtures and etc.? And that's actually a very good question. We are coordinating with the building department to make sure that the number we set up will meet or will not impact the fixture count. We are still working on that topic, but again, as any other by right use, it is required to meet all the code requirements, including the zoning ordinance and the building code. If it does not, then it would be an issue, a violation that we would have to address based on complaints we receive. but there is not going to be because there is not going to be any type of a permit, especially for the by right one. We do not anticipate having to review the setup for compliance. There will be an education campaign if the zoning ordinance is adopted. We anticipate there might be a delayed effective date to ensure that we provide additional information on what is required, what needs to be met, and educate potential outdoor dining applicants and outdoor dining setups to make sure that they meet the required zoning ordinance and other county code, building code, and fire code. Another question is, are there any noise guidelines for outdoor dining areas located near non-single family home residential areas? Again, similar to all uses in the county, the outdoor dining would also be subject to the noise ordinance. We are proposing that the outdoor dining area hours of operation generally be consistent with the restaurant's outdoor dining area so that there will not be any setup after the restaurant is closed, that the outdoor dining area will not be used and will not generate noise. But in general, it would have to meet the current noise ordinance standards. Any other questions? Or any other clarifications I can provide? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And very good questions that will get us working on updating and refining the draft text that we have presented to the board's land use process committee back in April. We will refine the text based on the comments we're receiving from this community meeting as well as our previous community meeting. But please feel free to email me any questions, comments, feedback. You have my email address, I guess, is still visible on the screen, but it's Lily dot my last name, Igazu, at fairfaxcounty.gov, and my phone number is also provided on the screen. You're very welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If there are no comments, I see Sean. Maybe you wanted to.
No, I just wanted to say thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I will go ahead and stop the presentation and close out the meeting if there are no other comments or feedback. All right. The presentation is going to be, this recording will be available on the website under previous meetings and agenda. And then you can provide your comments through the website or directly to me via email. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.